Yo guys, welcome back to this next episode, and in this episode I would like to show you what I did, and I will just guide you through. First, let me show what I did. So we can just receive damage once, then we lose health, of course, second time, and another one, and then we have this. And we can't move, and the zombie is stopped doing stuff. So actually we need to do quite a lot to implement this. So let me guide you through. Inside the BP Master zombie, you have the overlap byte collision, right? So what you need to implement before you have this function, oh no, sorry, this is an event. This event byte, please from your AC create a boolean. You just go inside your AC and create a boolean called dead. That's it, okay? Then from the AC you get dead, you set a branch. If it's false, we continue. And if dead is true, we stop doing this. So basically when we are dead, of course we stop doing that. Good. This is what you have from the previous episode. Then you have received damage, right? So this is the function received damage. We did this in the last episode. Let me just open this one up because there is a boolean here, an output. So the received damage. This is old news. You do have all that stuff, right? So you just have the damage from the PP zombie, which is fine. The damage actor is the character, which is fine as well. Then from the player health, you subtract the return value, and from there you get the new player health. So you set this new player health. Then you have this macro called check injured state. So this is what we did change. You just have this macro here now. And if it's dead, just right click and add return node. Okay, so you need two. You can just copy one. When you have a return node, just get output a boolean and call it dead. So if it's dead, you enable this, and if it's injured and not injured, so both. I know it's hard to see here, but both are connected to dead, which is disabled. This is pretty important. Okay, so just build it like this. Good. Because I believe we had, there was a macro here, right? Like the macro called dead or death. Please delete this macro you have here. Just get rid of it, and here on the left hand side where you have death, this macro, you don't need that, okay? So let's go back. So now you have this boolean from your return node. Just get a branch, okay? If dead is false, so if dead is basically this one here, if it's so we are still alive, right? Which means dead is false. Just get the received damage and set this one to false. So like you had before, just get this to false, and this is it. You don't connect anything behind that, okay? But now here comes all the stuff we need to implement now. When dead is true, you get a delay of 1 second approximately. So just get a delay of approximately 1 second, okay? Then we need to cast. Get the player character. From the player character, just cast to your BP RE character, your player BP. Then make sure that you get this variable you have inside here and set this one again, okay? So you have a fresh value here. Okay, so just make sure that you connect this one. And then from there, you can also drag from here and get the AC inventory. Doesn't matter, okay? So it doesn't really matter. So you can drag from here and get the AC, or just from here. It's the same stuff, okay? So just make sure that you have this set and connected, so that we just update this data here. Good. And then we have two new functions. I will explain to you what you need. So we have a function called death, and we have a function called death loop. So it's pretty important, as I told you before, that you get the player character and you cast. Okay, this is pretty important. Otherwise, you're gonna have errors and bugs, because it's not going to work if you just get this one and then from there AC inventory, stuff like that. It's not going to work. So unfortunately, you have to cast. Okay, because I tried it. Then go into your AC. Wait, let me compile. Go to your AC and get a function called fdeath, and then you can also create a function called fdeath loop. When you open up the fdeath, you need to get the boolean I told you before, okay? So the dead boolean, just set this one to true, like so, okay? The function here, create an input, which is the BPRE character, or search for your player blueprint, and call it character. And the output is a simple float, and you call this one death montage length, okay? So you have an input and output inside this death function. After that, you play anim montage, okay? Don't play montage, it is anim montage. Make sure that your character here is connected as well. And then you have this macro from the previous episodes. We did this a long time ago. player attributes get actor location, okay? You can just get this one. If you don't have it, I will show you again. Get player pawn, get actor location. And this is basically it. This is also what you can do. Get player pawn, from there get the actor location. Good. Then you from the actor location, you play sound location. In my case, it is the death. So yeah, she's like making like a sound. Basically, she's dying, right? So I have this. And for the montage, and just in case if you're not having any idea what you have to play, it is just a simple death montage. Okay, so you have your animation, and you retarget your death animation to your character, and then from there you create this as in a montage. Okay, this is the montage. I did slow it down a little bit, so here inside my montage the play rate is 0.75. Okay, so it depends on your animation code, of course. Then you have the output here of your function, so just get a return node here as well, so add return node. Okay, it's just one. And when you click on this is where you can create an output. Okay, so if you're like clueless, like okay, I have to get an input, which is my player BP, pretty important. Okay, but the output is also here inside your return node. Just add return node, and then you have a float as an output called des montage length. Okay, good. Then from the AC, when you cast from here or here, it doesn't matter, as I told you, you get the AC inventory. The AC inventory, from there you just call the fdef first, okay, the function fdef. Then you have this character input, because I told you that we have this character input, okay? That means that this character here is empty for you, you just get the character from here, okay? Pretty important. That this one is also connected. And of course, AC inventory, the target is also AC inventory, so that now it's connected. So the death montage length, why did I create a float output for a return node? It's pretty simple. You just get the return value from your play montage and just drag it inside your return node output, okay? Because this value is the length of your montage. So this means when I go back to the zombie BP, that we can now from here just get a delay. Flow control, just a simple delay. Because now, depending on your montage, the delay is now set to its length of the montage. And then when the montage basically is completed, so we just wait until the montage is completed, this is why we have this delay connected to our return value, okay? Then we do the last function, which is called death loop, okay? Let me open that one up. For this one, which is also inside your AC inventory, I told you before, to create that. When you click on this, you also get your player BPRE character, and you call this one character. Now, this is the same stuff. You just get your character value, and you just connect it to character, okay? Or from here, it doesn't really matter. The target, again, is the AC, of course. It makes sense, okay? So, now you have the character data here, and then you get first capsule component, then you get the skeleton mesh asset, and then you get character movement. Before we use those components, we need to play another montage. So this montage starts right after our previous montage, right? So we just continue with another montage. What I did is, from my death animation, so I have to cheat a little bit because I use the death animation from the zombie, to be honest, but make sure that you just retarget first, okay? So I did retarget, but let me go to the RE character and animations. So the death animation. So you have the montage, right? So you retarget your death animation, you have the montage. Now, you need to duplicate this one. Here. And call this one death frame. Open the duplicate. And this is pretty important. Delete all frames. So when you right click, you can just delete, there's something called delete frame 0 to 7, delete frame 0 to 13. You have to do this again and again and again and again. You have to remove it until you only have one frame left. And this is the very last frame. This is pretty important. Okay? So you can see it's just from 0 to 1 frame. This is just for me to have a death, like an infinite death loop, okay? So when she has this animation, which is basically the same, okay, she's falling down, and this is the last frame. So this is why we copied this animation. And this one is basically repeating infinite times. So how can we do that? You just set the play rate to something like 0.0001. So this is making sure that this montage is being played for a very long time. I cannot tell you in detail how long it is. Maybe it's just 30 seconds, 40, 50, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. I'm not sure. But just make sure that you have enough time like to end the game without having your character like respawning back into the plan space. This is just the reason why we're doing this. Okay, so play rate pretty important. And then just when you have your frame, from this frame here, you create another anim montage. Okay, and this is your death frame montage, and you put this one inside here. Now you have the capsule component, mesh, and character movement from your character, right? So make sure the mesh is here, the skeleton mesh. And for the capsule component, you set collision enabled to no collision. The mesh, you set collision enabled to no collision. The character movement, you disable the movement. This is it. Okay? Just make sure you have this function like so. And then let me just quickly check if this is everything. I believe it's not, because we have to change some more things. But just make sure that you have this overlap stuff now, just like I told you. Okay? So I did explain to you all this stuff which is new, and those two functions here. Good, but what we need to do, we also need to go into the NMBP. Okay? And you also have to create a dead boolean. Okay? And when you go inside your anim graph, in my case, so this is what you have to do when you're using a layered blend per bone. So obviously, or in most cases you do. So I just added if it's the hammer equipped or gets bitten, and then I clicked on this plus pin. So or hammer, or gets bitten, or dead. Then either one of those, it doesn't matter, means if one of those states here is true. This is why we have this or boolean. So it could be this or this or this. If those are true, or one of those, the true pose is my locomotion, so which is this one here, right? And the default slot. So I make sure that I just avoid playing the layered blend. Otherwise, the death animation, of course, obviously is not going to work, because a death animation you need the full body. This is why we just avoid doing this. We need to avoid layered blend per bone. Okay? This is just what you have to do. So please make sure when you have a death animation that, of course, you are not using this blend per bone. You are only using dead is true as with just the default slot without layered blend per bone. Good. So it's playing the full animation. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I believe, inside your animation blueprint, so inside your character animation blueprint, I told you you have this dead boolean, right? So make sure when you create this, like we always do, of course, from the AC you get the dead, and then you create a new one here. So this is from the AC, and then you set this dead boolean. Okay, this is pretty important. So this is something you always have to do. Okay, so make sure that you always add those booleans which are affected for updating our animations, that they will always get an update with this blueprint update animation. Okay, so this is pretty important. Also, what I forgot to tell you is, let me close that, compile, save. What I forgot to tell you is, I said I can't move. When I'm dead, I can't move. You still have the ability to move, even when you're dead. Because apparently, when you just disable the movement, you have this node movement, get character movement, disable movement. When you just have this, it's not really enough. You still can move. So actually, you still can rotate, but you can't move. So, but when you are lying dead on the floor and you still can rotate, doesn't make any sense. We want to make sure that we are completely disabled in terms of movement. So what I did is, I created a macro here. So just inside your character blueprint, create a macro. Before triggered, so before you set the control rotation, you put this macro between, and this macro has an input and two outputs, which is either true or false, and you just get from the AC, so you can get, like you always have this AC here, and then from there you can get dead. Okay, just add a branch and connect this one like so. This will prevent us from moving when we're dead. Okay, so make sure that you have this one as well. And then I believe this is it. Yeah, this should be everything, I believe. Let me just reevaluate a second time, because it would be pretty bad if I forget to tell you. No, so you do have this receive damage. I told you already to update this function like so. And you have these two new functions. This is the fdeath, so build it like so, right? Make sure you have the input and output return node. and you have this function like so. Okay, this is pretty important. Good. And the thing is here, this is also pretty important. When you have this branch, so we updated this function receive damage with the dead boolean. So if this is true, the dead is true. So this is like where all the magic happens. Okay, if you're still alive, it's dead is false, and then we just have a cooldown. This is just a cooldown here, receive damage, because after a delay of 1.5 seconds, our receive damage will be true again, which is just preventing us to get bitten infinite times. Okay, so we have cooldown, so we have time to run away. This is basically what we do here, but you do have this already. And then I told you the function, just add the return node and have this one true, this one, and those two are not true, of course. Just continue with a branch, and when it's true, you play all this stuff I did show you. But as I told you before, just make sure after delay, 1 second delay in my case, make sure that you need to cast again with your player character. Okay? So the object is player character, you cast again, then you set the character you already have, the variable, and you just refreshing data here. Okay? Like so. Good. And from there, of course, you get the AC inventory as well. Otherwise, if you're not doing this and you just get the AC inventory from here, you will have errors. Okay? Like me before. Alright, so, and then you will just start playing those two functions, okay? Good. And I think this is it. This is everything you need to know or should know. Now you are ready to implement your death function, and you have like this infinite death loop here. And yeah, so collision is basically disabled here for our capsule, and the character movement is disabled, and our skeletal mesh is disabled. I know it's confusing because it says mesh, but you can get it from typing in skeletal mesh. This one here, skeletal mesh asset. And this is something you can delete. So I know it's confusing, but this is how you can get the mesh. Okay? Good. And this is basically it. Yeah, so as you can see, we are not using like the disable movement stuff. No, we are not. Let me just check again. No. We just have a sounded location. We have this death montage, and before we have this death montage, make sure that you set this boolean dead right before your first like your death montage, okay? And set this one to true. It's pretty important. And of course, we just leave it at true, because when we are dead, so we cannot unchange it basically. Good. And like I told you from the beginning, please also don't forget from the AC inventory. Oh my god. Oh, I found out there's something. Wait. Okay, now it's fixed. Just make sure that from the AC inventory you also here you get dead, and you make this branch. So only the zombie is going to bite. Of course, makes sense when dead is false, and when dead is true, nothing is going to happen. Otherwise, he will still bite us, even when we are dead, and this is not going to make sense. Good. I can also just get a macro. Okay. Let me just delete this. Maybe I can do like so. And this is the AC. So let me just rename this AC inventory. Don't really like that. So let's do like so. Yeah, this is better. Good. So let's just rename this one to false. Yeah, so if it's false, of course we will continue for the zombie to attack us. And if it's true, let's just get an output here as well. Let's just swap. Yes, okay. No, actually, let's call this one not dead, okay? And this one dead. And then we can swap again, because now it's going to look better. Okay? And we call this macro check death. So pretty simple. It's just a branch. And we save some space. Good. Then, not dead, we continue to bite. We have this receive damage cooldown, so we need to wait until receive damage is true again. Otherwise we can't receive damage. This is just preventing us, like, we had this problem with spamming damage, right? So we just avoid spamming damage. So it's only hitting us once, the zombie. Okay, and yeah. So just make sure that you have something like this. And then you can just try this out again. Everything is fine. Good. You can see I can't move and he's not doing anything, so this is exactly what we want. And we don't get any errors. What I also implemented is the melee damage. So just get the melee weapon and then let's just try. So we have to be careful not to get, yeah, this is what I try to avoid. Okay, didn't work out, but let's just try a second time, just to kill him with the melee weapon, so you can see that this is going to work. This is really annoying, to be honest. I can keep my distance, and I can just hammer him to death. Good. Okay, so let me just show you what I did here for the hammer trace. It's basically like almost the same stuff. When you go into the AC inventory, you have this event, right? Event graph. From the hammer trace duration, you have this sphere trace by channel. From there, just break. You have this node, break, okay? And then we have to cast, in this case. Get the hit actor, and then just type in cast to BP master zombie. So the object input here is the hit actor. From there, we can deal damage, and we also get the impact point, okay? If you have this input. If you don't have this input yet, I forgot about the previous episode, but if you don't have this input, no, you do have it. Sorry, now I can remember, you do have it. So just make sure that you put this one inside the zombie, of course, like before, and impact point to impact point. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then what you do is, this is basically all the same stuff, okay? Don't need to change anything, but what I did change is, look at this. Our current weapon has damage, right? This goes into the base damage. And I have a macro here, so when I open this, this has an input with a float, and the return value is just connected to the input of this macro. So float to float, pretty simple. I call this one calculate damage to zombie, but I believe you do have this from the previous episode, so this is pretty useless to explain to you a second time. Just make sure that you have this, and from there we check the zombie health. So what we had before in the previous episode was that we had this check, I think it was like the other way around. We had this macro, right, with the zombie death, and we had it before apply damage, I believe. So we had this stuff here, which is not really right. Okay, so just make sure that you just get this zombie health float with a macro and the zombie death function. You can just drag select and just cut it out, or copy this. In this case, you should cut it out. And then from here, you can just put it behind the F calculate damage to zombie, okay? And then you just connect the macro to this macro. You just leave the zombie health. And this is the zombie, so it didn't change. So from here, this is the zombie input here. And if the zombie is dead, we are playing the function zombie death. And after zombie death, we still want to spawn blood, okay? So the last shot, or the last hit, basically, we still want to have blood. Otherwise, it's going to look weird. And if the zombie is not dead, we just go straight into the spawning blood emitter, okay? And this is what you have to update inside the deal damage. So this is just the order of what we play, okay? So nothing really didn't change. It's just the order here that we just put this one behind this macro. And I think this is it. Also for the hammer trace, pretty simple stuff. You just have to do that, okay? Good. Okay. See you on the next one.